Hello and welcome to today's video. 60 years ago today, on the 13th of August 1961, citizens of West Berlin woke up to find out that they were surrounded and cut off. That's not entirely true to say that, because they'd always been surrounded and in a way they had always been cut off, but what had happened was that the East German regime had decided to build the wall using the entire security apparatus of East Germany with significant assistance from the Soviet Union. The area of West Berlin was surrounded by wall, barbed wire and other obstacles, which in days and weeks, months and even years to come were continually updated and improved upon. Improved in as much as keeping people in rather than letting them out. On the 14th of August 1980, that is to say 19 years later, the place where I am at right now, which is the Gdańsk Shipyard, then the Lenin Shipyard, there was a strike, and one person, Lech Wałęsa, he jumped over a wall and he went on to become one of the leaders of the strike. Indeed, the whole Solidarity movement and the first president of a free Poland since World War II. Now, the reason I'm talking about these two things right now is one is a symbol of the division of Europe, and the other is the symbol of the unification of Europe and the defeat of communism. As far as being symbols is concerned, that's what they are to a large extent, because as far as the division of Europe was concerned, Europe was already divided. Europe had been divided for at least 15 years since the beginning of the Second World War. And I would even go as ahead as to argue that the division started with the Soviet invasion of Poland on the 17th of September 1939. Not the Nazi invasion, but the Soviet invasion, because that border effectively still stands today. Effectively, there's some minor differences, but it's largely the border that is today. Here also is a symbol, because as much as I like this place, as much as Gdańsk is my favourite place in the world, as much as I feel an attachment to what we have here, this is also a symbol, because it could have ended up completely different had Gorbachev, in fact, not come to power. And whereas the people in the strikers here in Poland, or Polish trade unions, which had 10 million people, one person in 3.5 in the entire country, probably around one worker in 2, maybe even more, was in solidarity. Now, what does this mean in effect? My opinion is that, okay, we look at this place as the symbol, but it was really Gorbachev which brought about the defeat of the Soviet Union and the independence of the other states. Now, how good that was for some states obviously is arguable, but we won't go down that road right now. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera around, because you don't really want to look at me, you want to look at something a bit more interesting. This is what it's like today. Right now, I was here first time. It was on Monday, the 30th of August, 1982. The following day, I witnessed, but not here, but in Gdynia, a riot where the paramilitary police actually attacked people who were demonstrating. I'll do a separate video and go into more details about that. And I was here as a direct eyewitness on the day that Solidarity was made illegal, 8th of October 1982. The following Monday, that was a Friday evening when they made it illegal. Saturday, Sunday free, so the people at Centre. Monday there was a strike. I actually was here on that day. So I actually witnessed that. The paramilitary police, SOMO, attacked at around, I would say it was around 6 in the evening. And that's, in the following day, it was completely cut off to the world. We've got this symbol here. This symbol was put up in 1981-82. This is to commemorate the workers who were murdered by the communist authorities in December 1970. And after martial law and in the period following the Solidarity period, which would be 1980-81, this was not torn down. So the authorities left it here. So I think that actually, in a way, it sort of does, maybe they were hoping they could tear it down at a later date. This big building here, behind it, that is the European Solidarity Centre. I think that's what it's in English. And I think that the impression I get of it, because it looks a bit rusty, and I get the impression it's an old ships being put together, something along those of that nature. Now, this houses an excellent museum which outlines the fall of communism, and so strongly recommend seeing that. I'm going to do criticism of it a little bit later, but that's a different video. Now, if I now walk down here into the former Lenin Shipyard, these buildings, as well as the sign, that's how it was. And the bit where it says there Solidarność, that used to say in Lenin's name, so meaning the Lenin Shipyard of Gdańsk. So, but now it's got Solidarność and something else I can't read written up there. You know, for me, having been an eyewitness to what happened then, you know, this is really, you know, it's very special. I would never have thought that when I was here 39 years ago, that this would be possible. And I'm sure, to return to the subject of what I started off with, was that in 60 years ago today, that the people in Berlin, particularly East Berlin, or even East Germany on the whole, would never have thought that this would have come to an end. Under on the sign up there, we've got the original demands of the people who were striking in August of 1980, what they were requesting. So that gives a little overview of what you can actually see here. And there we have, it says here, the historic location of the signing of the August Accords on the 31st of August 1980. The August Accords were those demands you just saw. Of course, the communist authorities, within not much more than a year, when, on the 13th of December 1981, sort of abolished them, but not entirely. That would be unfair to say absolutely entirely. Anyway, we'll look at that in a separate video. And other things to actually see here, some of this was up in socialist times as well. If only I had had a video recorder in those days. Right, so what we'll do now is we'll just walk in here, and this shipyard has now become it's a UNESCO heritage. It is protected. Some of the buildings have gone, other buildings are from the 19th century. The shipyard's history includes, for example, where the shipyard actually built before the war. It built liners. It was known for building torpedo boats. For example, one of the companies here did that in the 20s and 30s. And the Type 23 submarine, which was the most advanced submarine built by Nazi Germany, was built here. So we've got all of that history behind us. So you see what it looks like now. That is today's history, which I feel it. Okay, 60 years ago when the Berlin Wall was built. I don't remember because I wasn't yet born. But I'd be curious to know what other people, though, remember of November 1989, and if you can remember anything about East Germany or Communist Poland, write it down in the comments below. I would be interested to read it. So, this is me in Gdańsk on the 60th anniversary of the construction of the Berlin Wall. Thanks very much for watching, and all the best from Poland.